Mumbai is a city that never sleeps. कहते हैं कि दिन में देखे हुए सपने, खुले आंखों से देखे हुए सपने रात को सोने नहीं देते हैं. And that's the reason why there are so many stories every minute unfurling, every moment. You know, moment is 90 seconds, a minute is 60. So every second, every nanosecond, you have a story, and we are consuming those stories regularly. Why we love those stories? We want to consume more and more stories. And there are two guys, Raj and Ramesh, who are actually giving us these stories. Both of them are journalists, live in very small compartmentalized rooms in a chawl, and they use similar typewriters, sip the same kind of chai, eat the same kind of greasy vada pav, and suddenly the digital wave comes. So Raj is a guy who likes to take the fast train. He runs, he jumps on the train and moves fast. The tracks are clear, he reaches on time. Ramesh comes, he says, let me wait for the crowd to move. And by the time he's in the train, it starts pouring and the tracks are all flooded. So maybe he didn't see the digital wave coming which covered his tracks. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what we need to understand, is what we need to do when deskilling, upskilling, and reskilling. So journalists must acquire digital competency. If you're not able to do that, you're not able to move, you're not able to understand. You don't understand what SEO is, you don't understand what SEM is, you don't understand what CMS is, Twitter, Threads. That's what Raj learned very quickly because he was a digital dynamo. And Ramesh said, no, print journalism is the best. I will write my story, I will wait for tomorrow's newspaper and read the paper, see my byline, and say, wow. That's what I did back in '87 when I started my career. And if Raj wanted to evolve, it is because he wanted to evolve and involve, or the other way around as well. That, ladies and gentlemen, is very imperative for movement. When you look at Raj's career, he suddenly started moving to the online. He learned SEO. He learned how to write short word sentences for Twitter. He learned Threads recently. And Ramesh was happy looking at his old time work. He would go slow, he would read his old articles and feel very proud about it. And he didn't learn. He didn't want to learn. That is where Raj suddenly today has a podcast. He actually runs his podcast from his bathroom because it has some amazing acoustics. He shoots videos. He's even become the social media consultant for his vada pav wala and gets free vada pav and chai today. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is very important when you want to move on and embrace the digital wave. Look at Ramesh. He was happy with his long format stories. And when he decided to shift, he thought he'll get into Facebook, hashtag true stories, hashtag real stories. And they just didn't seem to work. He even tried Substack, but his stories were not up to the mark, and today he's out of a job. Having said that, you know, who do you want to be, Ramesh or a Raj? That we'll see as we proceed here. Okay. This is how you start off and this is how you move on. So the seismic shift has been from the ink to the pixels. So when you look at a newspaper, how does it function? You write an article, it gets printed, there is an ink involved, there's a newspaper involved, then it gets into distribution, then it gets into marketing. There's a significant amount of cost that comes there. And then after that, when you are moving into an online space, you also have a paywall. Whereas when you are looking at pixels, you're looking at a website, you are looking at videos, you're looking at audio, and then you're looking at a much easier way to create the content as well. Here, when you look at print, it comes to you in the morning at a certain time. Online is now. So hence, Raj managed to sustain and move on and learn because of that. Yeah, so need to adapt. How you all heard of CMS? We never knew about CMS when we were there. Nothing of that sort. You heard of SEO? SEO is not about bringing your article or your newspaper or your news link on top of Google. It's also about understanding what people are searching for. It's understanding what people need. It's to understand the difference between needs and wants of the people. Uh, that is about, you talk about social media, you talk about multimedia. Social media is not a distraction if you're using it right to spread stories. Multimedia content is very important because you need to start making videos. You need to start showing people stories that they would otherwise normally go to television to watch, because they are now not going to television, they are actually looking at their phone or tablet for this news. And finally, data. Data can give you so many stories, and you can keep giving stories constantly. And that is what Raj kept doing. So, technology dictates content. That's what I believed in. 38 years ago, when I started my career on 8th March 1987, I exactly complete 38 years today, I never knew that I would adapt to technology. I became a Raj, even though I was a Ramesh at one point of time. When the dot-com boom came, Ramesh said, yeah, dot-com boom is like some Bollywood dance number. Aaj rahega, kal nahi rahega. Raj felt it was a dot before the calm, the lull before the storm, and he evolved. So you need to what? Be agile. Being agile is not really about being fast. It's about adapting. And that is to adapt change. Every time there is a change, every time there is a new platform, you need to be ready to take that. Then you have to, as I said before, you have to distinguish between the want and the need. What you think people want and what you think people need are two different things. Understand the difference. Avoid misinformation. In the need to do things quickly, we all tend to end up giving a lot of misinformation, putting out stories immediately just to make your boss happy, or what you think you're making the audience happy. No, that doesn't work. Protect your sources. That's what we've been doing for years. You can protect your source in court of law as well. Now, change. I'm going to introduce a new word called nows. News and nows. News is like biryani, slow cooked, rice, sabzi, rice, sabzi. Whereas, ramen and noodles get cooked in 2 minutes. But what is news? You have a scheduled delivery like the milkman. It comes at a certain time. The content is curated like how a chef curates his stuff. The gratification is delayed because it comes the next day. The contextual depth is there because you have an entire day to write a story. And finally, it is reliable. You always rely on your newspaper to give the right data. Then nows. Nows is like lelore, you're just giving it out now. The delivery is instantaneous. You're like a forwarded message. You're just forwarding messages that you received. And you even say forwarded as received. You're not even verifying the information. It's like sitting in one big mall, lot of shops, and you are just passing on the information there. Instant gratification. The news happens at 12:01. The news is out at 12:02. The shallowness is there because there is no depth. You don't have time for the research. And yes, there's always a question mark. You will always find a lot of stories that appear immediately coming with a question mark. And that's the last thing that we want to do. Okay, now the difference between nows and news is carefully curated reports because they are researched. They are written over a period of time. The stories are very well written. It's a slow, deliberate process. You can actually sit down and get the information, get data, and get sources to back your story. Every letter is very carefully crafted. Whereas in nows, what happens? The feed is very rapid. It is update. There are fragmented updates. Sometimes the update is not very clear. The energy is mind-boggling. That's something that people love. Even I love the frantic energy. But as long as you are doing it right is fine. but at the same time, the messaging is very, very immediate. You are not really waiting for the right letters to come on. Okay, the now phenomenon, it is about in the immediacy. Get me now. You always, when you hear a story, you go on Google and you start searching for it. It's like a 24/7 news cycle. You don't wait for news. You have to get agile and stay correct. As a journalist, the first job that you have to do is basically ensure that the information is correct, because we are all seekers of the truth. We are called the fourth estate for that same reason. Instant updates and live coverage, speed is the key. Speed is the key. Yes, but you need to stay correct. That's why you citizen journalists, we have bloggers, and content has a democracy now. So there will be scrutiny in democracy. Yes. So what happens when all these social media platforms come across? There is misinformation. How many of you have seen panic fights happening because of social media misinformation? There's so many cases being filed around the country. Encrypted messaging. People are actually using platforms which have encrypted messaging and talking to sources as well. Similarly, it's also being not just used for privacy, it's also being used for propaganda. So what we need is responsible citizen journalism, because I think most of you here will also be working like a citizen journalist, saying forwarded as received. Okay, you know what? What happened to Ramesh? Ramesh जिंदा है. Okay, and that कहते हैं ना कि एक न्यूज़ की कीमत तुम क्या जानो रमेश बाबू, but Ramesh Babu still understands the news. So what we need is a hybrid model of a Ramesh and a Raj today. We have to combine traditions with innovation. With great power comes spectacles for me. Great power comes a huge bill for TEDxKESShroffCollege. So you have to combine traditions with innovation. You have to get the new to work with the old. You have to get the Raj and the kids in the room to work with the Ramesh. You have to learn to be true to the craft, which is very important. Your craft is telling stories and being honest and being truthful. You have to embrace digital media, which is what we keep doing. You have to understand that digital media is the future, AI is coming up next, and you need to understand that. It's a lifelong learning. You learn things every day. You learn from your peers, you learn from your juniors, you learn from everyone who comes. You're learning from AI, you're also teaching AI. Because if you don't prompt AI properly, you will not get the right result. Trust me, I have been working with AI for the last 3 years, and all the images created on this PPT are also from AI. Storytellers, come technologists, come data analysts, and community builders. We have to understand what data analysis mean. There is so much of data that can keep telling stories, and you can use that data to tell stories for years to come, for the world to know what you're saying. Finally, embrace, listen. We normally don't listen to understand, we listen to argue, we listen to reply, listen to understand, and then to disseminate the information. Thank you. This is City, Mumbai never sleeps. कहते हैं कि खुले आंखों से देखे हुए सपने रात को कभी सोने नहीं देते. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.